Welcome everyone, this is Factory Capers for Rollercoaster Tycoon Classic. This is the first scenario in the game originally from Rollercoaster Tycoon 2. There is a decent chunk of flat land to work with and a massive construction rights to the left. I like this scenario, but I find it hard on the eyes. The goal for this scenario is 1100 guests by the end of year 3, so it should be a little easier than Three Monkeys Park. This is also the first scenario in Rollercoaster Tycoon Classic that is a pay-for-entry park. The first thing I do to start this scenario is remove the old factory and all the paths until the only thing left is this little guy. This park has 3 entrance gates, so I will have 2 information kiosks. I set the park maps to free and the umbrellas at $5. Next, I built my signature junior coaster. This is the first of a handful of rides built before opening the park. With a pay-for-entry park, I want to have several rides before I open the park so I can charge a high admission cost. Thankfully, removing the old factory and paths earned me over $11,000. I knew I wanted to have a monorail in this park, so I built the first station and some of the track. I'll come back and finish the ride later. Just behind the monorail station, I built a Ferris wheel. I set the rotation to backwards with 2 laps per cycle. Right next to it, I added a 3D cinema set to Storm Chasers. And right next to that, I built my second coaster, a steel Wild Mouse coaster. This is a clone of the Wild Mouse coaster I built in the last scenario, Three Monkeys Park. Next, I added a carousel, set to 18 rotations per cycle. The park isn't ready to open yet, but I set the admission cost to $40. $48 is the lowest amount that guests can spawn with in this scenario, so everyone can get in the park at this price. The last ride I built before opening the park is a wooden coaster. This coaster will fill up this odd-shaped corner of the park. This is a large, twisted layout with 9-car articulated trains. I set the on-ride photos at $4. Next, I opened the park and all the rides. Before any guests arrive, I built a twist set to the maximum rotations. With the ride collection looking good, I switched focus to stalls. My first restaurant contains a burger bar and drink stall with a restroom and balloons. I noticed the junior coaster was stuck in the station. I set the ride to test mode and immediately reopened the ride after the train dispatched. With all the money coming through the park entrance, I could focus on making the park less ugly. Next, I changed the texture around the wooden coaster. I also lowered land where the coaster was at ground level to show supports. Next, I opened all the stalls at my restaurant and increased handymen to 3. Back by the wooden coaster, I built a pair of launched freefalls. Both towers are 26 units tall, with one being set to downward launch mode and the other to upwards. The downward launch tower reaches a top speed of 55 miles per hour, and the upward launch tower reaches 56 miles per hour. To help keep the park clean, I added benches and bins all over. Back at the front entrance, I built a building. Inside contains a restroom and balloon stall with an ATM. I built several ATMs in this playthrough, but didn't open them until the final year. Next, I completed the monorail. I built a second station at the back of the park and set the trains to 2. Just behind the second station, I added another building containing souvenir and balloon stall with a restroom and an ATM. I filled the rest of the area with trees and shrubs. My next coaster is a small corkscrew coaster featuring double vertical loops and a double corkscrew. This is one of my favorite default color schemes for the track, so I only colored the trains. Next, I built a magic carpet with the swing set to 12. I decorated the small pond before building a second restaurant near the corkscrew coaster. Inside contains coffee and donut stalls with a restroom and ATM. Just underneath the corkscrew coaster, I built a car ride with 8 vintage cars. I decorated the ride's course with trees, shrubs, and pieces from the Wonderland set. Next, I built bumper cars with a 2-minute runtime and uniquely colored cars. Within 150 guests from goal and over a year left, I focus on making the park greener and pretty. Now that it's year 3, I open the ATMs and start advertising for free drinks. My next coaster will be an SLC. This ride features a larger drop than I typically build for these coasters. The ride's first inversion is a helix-wrapped reverse sidewinder. My inspiration for this element came from the second Immelman on the fire side of Dueling Dragons at Universal's Islands of Adventure. Next, I built an observation tower, nestled in the underside of the pond. At the back of the park, I built a third restaurant. Inside contains a sub-sandwich and drink stall with a restroom. I built the building to contain 4 stalls, but never added more than 3. Next, I built the park's first water ride, a splash boat. This is a simple oval layout with 3 boats. I don't normally set water at the same height as land, but this time I'm just following the scenario's lead. Next to the splash boat, I built an Enterprise set to 15 rotations. To fill out the remaining land in this section, I added go-karts. This is a simple, flat, and lazy design set to 3 laps. I didn't want to put much effort into the go-karts because I wanted to add one last coaster before the scenario ends. At the back of the park, I built a water coaster. I picked the location for the splashdown and built the coaster layout backwards from there. I spent the remaining time decorating the water coaster. I had a lot of fun playing through this scenario, and I'm happy with how the park turned out. There is a good amount of space left and plenty of rides to choose from. When I started this scenario, I felt disappointed by the coaster selection, but by the end I was happy with what I had had. Pay for entry is another positive for this scenario. I like relying on new investments or advertising to bring in revenue. This has been Factory Capers for Rollercoaster Tycoon Classic. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for Katie's Dreamland.